all. We are on the fourth day of our symposium, and we will be talking about the family processes in inclusion education within psychological, from the perspective of psychology. And we're together with Ms. Şebnem Soysal Acar, and welcome. Soysal Acar, experimental psychologist, clinical psychology are the fields she works in, and she contributes to the field. She is graduated from she is working as an psychology department in Hacettepe University, and she works in many fields like attention deficit, hyperactivity, bonding problems, attachment problems, and so many others. And she continues with her studies, and now today she will be talking about the family processes. So I would like to leave the floor to you, and then we will have the Q&A session, and I will accompany you. Thank you very much. So you mentioned accompaniment, and this is really great to say. On the fourth day, I think I have been accompanying my patients, my clients' families, and my clients as well. And I thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be together. And we have the common excitement and sharing. I don't know what kind of result you're dreaming, but actually this will be a presentation focusing on problems. In the last decade, related to the meetings I was invited, I have been always appointed as sharing the problems and solutions regarding the family practices. Probably we are articulating the family focus approach is very common. So I just focus on other points as well as with this family. So let us just start now. So I just would like to start with an anecdote. Every time I hear it, every time I read it, it just makes me to think. And when I was 5 years old, my mother told me that the key of the life is happiness. And when I started school, I was asked, what do you want to be what do you want to be when you grow old? I want to be happier. And then I was told that I didn't understand the question, and I told them they don't understand the life. So actually, what is important that the children want to understand the life. Actually, what is important to have a meaning in life. So actually, who am I? What am I? How do I perceive my surrounding environment? And I am within a certain environment. And we know that the key point is that, and during this time, especially, we need to talk about communication more. So actually, it is important to render common. So for that reason, in which points we are together, what are the points that we cannot make common, which are the points that were excluded. So I will focus on them. So The communication starts when two people are aware of each other. It is either a blooming process or it is a rock, whatever it is. First of all, we have to be aware of it. So, what is our objective? The children's individually, their need for developmental, socio-culturally, and also their status in terms of socio-economy, social economy, and also their genders. We want to decrease the discrimination, and also we want to enable the individuals as one, as themselves, and also we want them individuals to make them exist in a group as themselves. So actually, it's important that we have to talk when this inclusion has started. So the things that are made, whatever is done within this process, or what could not be done, are very important. So when we look into this, so actually, when we look into this picture, we have to look into it from a different perspective. So what are the problems of the families? So when you say that why we did such a thing, so I pay attention to the awareness of the families. So if they had some enough information, then there would have been more inclusion students, because most of the time they are diagnosed very late. And it is one of the important facts that we have to have the
bireylerin anne ve babaları arasında boşanmanın çok yüksek oranda olması ya da aynı evin içerisinde hayatı teğet geçirmek.
So we know that the couples divorcing and also the relation between the mother and father having problems, and also burnout syndrome and load of the caregiver and the excitement and as well as anxieties are problematic. So there are imbalances in terms of justice. So how it is possible that we would eliminate this commitment so that is it possible that we are not having the assistance of the development of the individual without the support of the family? So distinguished audience, I'm sorry that it's not possible to provide you a healthy and sound interpretation, as I am not receiving the sound very well. So I will inform the technicians to enable the speaker to correct this problem. Thank you.
Biraz şaşırabilirsiniz. Çocuklar basit şarkıları, tekerlemeleri peki ne zaman öğrenip söyleyebilirler? Aa bak bu konuda aslında aileler hiç fena değiller de diyebilirsiniz. Yani öyleyse biz aslında 0-2 yaşa ait gelişimsel farkındalık konusunda ne kadar az bilgiye sahibiz görüyor musunuz? En çok aslında müdahale etmemiz gereken kısım burası. Çünkü anne babayla ilgili olan kısımda anne babalık donanımlarının yetersiz olması, kendilerini suçlamaları, özellikle ilişki ve iletişimde çocuklarıyla senkronize olamamaktan kaynaklanan bir sürü zorluğun nedeninin aslında buradaki bilgilendirmeyle ilgili olan eksiklik olduğunu görüyoruz. Peki Kliniğe başvuran çocuklara bir değerlendirmesi yapıldığında bakın bu ne kadar ilginç. Covid sürecinde de benzer bir şey yapılmış olsaydı bu oranların katlanarak arttığını, özellikle otizme dayalı olan belirtilerin ilişkiyle ilgili daralmadan dolayı, temasın azalmasından dolayı ne kadar çok arttığını görürüz. Çocukların büyük bir bölümünün %28,7'sinin aslında bir alanda gecikme gösterdiğini görüyoruz. Bunun ardından gelen dil çok önemli. Özellikle alıcı ve ifadeci dildeki gecikmeler.
With all this, I will try my best to provide you the interpretation as I cannot reach the speaker right now.
Aslında gelişimi destekleme konusunda
So actually, it shows that we do not have the support enough.
yeterince anne baba olduğunu hissedebilmesi için bizim ne yapmamız gerekiyor?
What we have to do actually,
Bundan bir yayın
Sayın hocam, özür dileyerek bölüyorum. Aralıklarla sesiniz
Öyle mi? Kesiliyor mu?
kesilmekte.
Daha yakınlaşayım.
Evet, bir bağlantı kontrol edebilirsek çok teşekkür ederim. Kusura bakmayın. Buyurun.
Tamam. Ben özür diliyorum herkesten. 1,5-2 yıldır bu sürece alışıyoruz ama
apologize from the listeners. Yes, from time to time, the interconnection could not be stable from time to time. If there would be any problem, please tell me so.
Pediatri dergisi olan Pediatri.
Firstly, Pediatric Journal is now what for the children between 3 to 17 years old. We see that there is this problem of this delay in behavior, and also we see that there is delayed development in the behavior. And this is also in order to break this.
Bir takım hedeflerimiz var değil mi? Nihai Danıştan'ın 17 tane hedefin peşinde koşuyoruz ama bunun ne kadarını gerçekleştirebiliyoruz? Hep aslında burada soru işaretleri var. Bizim hedefimiz anne babanın ruhsal sağlığını korumak. Bunu yaparken de aynı zamanda anne babanın elindeki en önemli anahtar senkronize olabilmesini sağlamak. Yani o eş zamanlılığı, eşlik etmeyi sağlayabilirsek anne baba davranışlarını anlayabilir, yorumlama konusunda da bir takım stratejiler geliştirebilir. Şimdi siz bu fotoğrafı aslında çok net bir şekilde hatırlıyorsunuz. Sadece kendimizden örneklerle gelmek istemedim. Olağan gelişim gösteren çocukların günlük hayatında ne tür yarılmalar oluyor ve bunun bizim özel gereksinim gösteren çocuklardaki yansımaları nasıl? Biraz ona bakalım. Sağlık gereksinimlerinin karşılanması, Ümran sağlıklı bir çocuk ama biliyorsunuz ki savaş bölgesinde yaşıyordu, Suriye'de bir patlama oldu. Kafasındaki kanamayla birlikte elinde beden bütünlüğü bozulmuş bir şekilde bakıyor bana ne oldu diye ambulansın içinde. Özel gereksinimli bir çocuğa baktığımız zaman ne kadar süre küvezde kaldığı, ne kadar sıklıkla doktora gittiği, ne kadar sıklıkla hangi uzman tarafından dokunulduğu, bunların her biri de aslında sağlıkla ilgili olan ihtiyaçların hem karşılanması hem kendi bedeniyle ilgili olan farkındalıkları, aynı zamanda da beden bütünlüğü konusunda ne olduğuna dair bir çıkarım yapıyor olması. Fizyoterapistler bazen çok yakınırlar. İşte çok gergin, çok ağlıyor, çok temas etmek istemiyor. Aslında orada çalışılması gereken şeylerden bir tanesi çocuğun beden bütünlüğüne olan yaklaşım. Aynı zamanda ailenin de kendini yeterince güvenli alanda hissedip hissetmediğine bakmak. Göz hareketlerini duyarsızlaştırma tekniğini kullanan terapistler, bilinen adıyla EMDR'ı kullananlar aslında güvenli yer egzersizlerinin ne kadar etkili olduğunu bilirler. Öyleyse sağlık gereksinimleri karşılanırken ailelerdeki gerginliği, çocuklara olan yansımayı çalışabilmek için öncelikle bu ailelerin kafasındaki o erişilebilirliği sağlamak ve güvenli yeri tesis edebilmek bizim için çok önemli. O zaman sahiden yaptığınız temasın bir noktada o tıkanıklığın açılabileceğini göreceğiz. Yeterli ve sağlıklı beslenme konusu bizim için gerçekten çok kıymetli ve önemli. Biliyoruz ki günümüzde artık hani beslenmeye erişemeyen ailelerin dış kaynaklı şeylere yöneldiğini, vitaminlerin tüketilmesi konusundaki o farklı yaklaşımların ne kadar etkileyici olduğunu biliyoruz. Özellikle tıp dışı uygulamalara birçok ailenin yönleniyor olmasının nedeni Yeniden merhaba, teknik aksaklıklar olacak.
Once again, hello.
Kesintiler olduğunu
It seems that we would have more problems, and if there happens to be so, I'm sorry.
Çocukların aslında kendi yaşamlarını anımsatan bir döngü içerisinde aslında burada ne kadar
It's related with how the children within war are very happy, and we see that they are happy, so the father is happy.
bir yaşam alanı içerisinde
And within a very small environment, when they, whatever is required, if they are fulfilled, they are very happy. And actually, we see what is our fundamental need. It's the security areas, safety areas. So while we work with the normal standards or normally developing individuals, we have to ensure the secure environment. And there should be an interaction which is sensitive, responsive, and which is supportive in terms of emotions. So if you think that you are not seen within this environment, and if you're not with your emotional needs, then you would start showing yourself with your physical development. So this is Kiribati Island. You see that. So how, if we do not provide them the appropriate stimulus, then how they are going to be developing? So what do these specially developing individuals require? They want to be observed, and also the protective factors should be sought, and especially the social approach should be adapted. So actually, who is going to apply where? This is really important. So the extension of the qualified
Yeniden merhaba. Umuyorum bu
once
sefer
again, hello. I hope that there will not be any connection problems. So we talked about the family awareness, and afterwards the adequacy of the experts as well as on the families. So indeed, how it is important, we know that the description, what does an expert mean, and in the upcoming period, it's important that the family goes around the expert to get the information, and in every time, in terms of development, what is the level, we know that we can learn from the expert. And at this point, what is important that we have to learn that the relation between the parents and the experts, and to which extent the expert is aware of the expectations, and as well as to encourage the family and the parents, and also ensure the contribution of the family is very important, which was very valuable for the inclusion, and the sensitivity of the expert is very important, because as of the diagnosis, our target is to participate in the society, in school, and to be visible within this process. This is very important to have a good relation with the expert. And one of the difficulties in this regard is the description of the descriptive tools limitation. Actually, this is the second breaking point from the perspective of the parents, because the standards, the normally developing children are to be understood within this concept. And rather than having a tool, if we are working in a family center, we have to have the development in the center, and then we have to ensure the parents sensitive, and accordingly we have to ensure the requirements of the individuals visible, and the limitations for the development should be known by the parents, and they should be aware what kind of intervention should be done. And at this point, we don't have to have the screening tools, but what is important that the expert should be aware of the breaking point of the parents and accordingly provide the support. And here what are the tools here, and these tools have to be specific to our culture, and also they have to have the qualifications to meet the needs of the children. They need to be updated. And how do we plan this process? So after diagnosis, and we know that the families actually find themselves as a fish out of water, so they cannot go through this first stage at first instance, so they feel themselves anger and regret and so on and so forth. So for that reason, there comes the educational part of the children, and this, it seems as if this most of the parts of this education is done in the special education institutions, but since there is no roadmap, so for that reason there's this difficulty emergence. And while the baby is in the lap, on the lap of the family, for a while, after a while, they do not know how to do. So we see that there are differences or different requirements and needs of the child, and also the limitations emerge. And for that reason, there's more difficulty. So for that reason, here early intervention practices should be formed, and accordingly, we should see what are the requirements of the family, what are the economic requirements, and the siblings, and as well as the requirements needs with the related with the parents. It's not only the emotional, social compliance, and all in all these fields. There's always a continuous update is required, and in every step, this limitation creates a problem of the compliance of the family to this stage. So how we're going to be following? Would it be on certain intervals? Or in Turkey, what happens is that we cannot work with the same expert all the time, and that certain model cannot be adapted all the time. And we know that the transdisciplinary models and new therapies adapted, and also the cultural features of the and dynamics of the family and the crises that are experienced are excluded by the experts. And unfortunately, the focus is only symptom, and why it is only important that for the families only working is important, and why it is important for some families to go to school. It is only possible that if only these are assured, it's possible that everything can be in the place, and sometimes the families feel themselves enough. But in this therapy, we have to focus on this, and then we have to focus. We have to be in the focus of the training, and what are the reflections actually in the preschool education. Actually, the greatest resource is the rehabilitation center, and within among these rehabilitation centers, the communication among them is not only related to parent. If it is done only with the parent or the child or the family, then there's restriction. And in terms of content and time, these are tools concepts are very important for education. Actually, while the children are taken to the center, the families see you experience a lot of because, and it seems that these are very simple. For example, a family without a car, it's not easy for them to take their child to the center, for example, because of the COVID. There are many difficulties, and especially not being able to get permission from the working place of the families. And so these certainly impact the relations of the family with the social society and all other parties. So these all have to be born with the related parties. So what we expect that we need to have the child at the center, and according to as per the center, we want to intervene, because this is the practice that we have. But until the child comes, what has been practiced, what has been experienced, actually we to ignore and neglect these, then it's not possible that we can pave a certain way. And apart from, and also we have the people working in the field coming from the other ways, and we have to have the furnished personnel. So these are also important. So these are the main problems, because related to transition, inclusion, education, the evaluations are not done within 5 or 6 years. What is very valuable is to get acquainted with the institution, and also the evaluations done in time to identify the strengths of the child and develop them, and to construct certain things on top of it. And these are the fundamental problems. And for example, ergotherapy has been identified just new. We behave likewise. However, these are not officially accepted. So and the normally developing children are excluded, and the stress factors are not taken into consideration, and we cannot use the family consultants in the best way. And of course, the RAMs, we have limited relation with them, and it's we're not talking about the limitations of this personnel in quality and quantity. I'm just talking about their adequacy. I'm also talking about the practice of the hospital among the parents and families, and also while the parents are referred to the RAM centers and they do not know what to confront when they are not informed yet, and they just have an only result in hand, and they do not know what's going to happen next, and how they do not know how they are going to support the development, and they do not have the roadmap in hand. So for that reason, the families experience a psychological devastation. And here, indeed, we have to have an long-term planning. Of course, the children should be in the social society, but we have to refer the child in certain interest fields. What happens? They grow older. We provide the skills focused education, social skills, adaptation, problem solving are ignored. So what is the situation in the preschools? So we know that in kindergartens are to have tuition fees, and also we have the problems that they're accepted in the preschool education institutions, and we cannot continue and ensure the continuity of the education within the preschool, and the active, hyperactive children are only referred to the hospitals, and school rehabilitation center cannot ensure the cooperation. And the most important thing is that the normally developing children have got the development activities done very rarely, and we also have the bullying among the peers, and this is very problematic. And of course, we need to enhance and foster the cultural differences, and one of the important things is assistant teachers or the shadow teachers. And of course, what are the reflections of all these? The In order to support the 3 to 6 years individual development, we actually have to intervene the most for all these groups of age. If we just ignore and neglect that group, then it's not possible that we can have the success, and then we can come across with these fundamental problems. And preparation of the programs, evaluation of the students, and to be able to work with the families, we should we know an opportunity is given to the teachers, and in order to structure the relation between the parents and the teachers, is it possible that they listen to each other? You would remember that there's a blooming plant and the rock at the beginning of my presentation. So actually, what is important that we have to further the one that is in hand growing, not that growing good, but the other one which is not blooming, which is not enhancing, progressing. So accordingly, we have to adapt the programs, and the teachers, we do not know how many teachers are there who will be able to work with the special need children. So not only isolating or just ensuring the children with special needs going to the school from time to time is not a solution. We have to be solution focused, especially the psychological consultancy guides are very important for us, and we have to make them work in an efficient way. And also it's important, and this is one of the most important things, that we can eliminate the problems from the perspective of the families. And also another point that we have to focus on is the disabled children with moderate and severe disability. And our programs resources are not for only restructuring. These are also important for other students, for the families, for everyone who is committed for in this issue. So we have to have the systems which can intervene within an anger tantrum, whether there are some structures for the families. So what is going to happen afterwards? In order to eliminate this culture, what is going to happen after me? We have to form this culture. So we should have the support network, and then accordingly, the family should feel themselves secure, and these will certainly hinder the problems. And of course, there are certain problems we have, and especially after graduation, related to the employment, joining the employment world or the business world, we have the problem of discontinuity. So we're just at the end at the end of this presentation, we have mentioned that the key to life is to be happy. So in the first picture, we see that it's not only that we organize the happiness for only ourselves, we have to be together, being ourselves and being the part of the group. And among these all deficits and drawbacks, if we can provide all these information and knowledge for the family, and if we can include the family within all the process, from the diagnosis to till the treatment and support, then within the inclusion process, if we can eliminate the problems that we experience with the support of the teacher and parents, then it would be much easier for us to overcome the problems, and we will keep our psychology in the well-being. Thank you very much.
Sayın Hocam, değerli sunumumuz
Distinguished Ms. Soysalajar, thank you very much. From the trainer perspective, you have told us about accompanying and